Mark, good to chat with you again. I'll just start with how preparations have been for you going into Tuesday, given the weather conditions that we've had over the last couple of days.
Well, we had the 4G available to us. We've had that for the last week really. The pitches have been that wet, but obviously with the training ground being flooded overnight, we luckily have the 4G available to us, so we was able to train on that. It's not full size, but it's played a purpose.
Does it change at all how you prepare and what you can do as a result of that?
Yeah, there's obviously some players who struggle to be on 4G, so that affects training in that way. So it's just kind of slight speed bumps in your preparation, that's all.
And just in terms of recovery as well, does it change that at all?
Not really. Some pitches are firm early on in the season, so I won't play. It don't play a massive purpose on it. It's just some with certain injuries. Just have to avoid the 4G as much as possible.
Yeah. I'll go back to Saturday and the performance and the result against Oldham. Now you've had time to reflect on it. What are your thoughts?
A frustrating afternoon, really. We start the game, there's not much in between us in the game, but when we conceded the goal, it affected us as a group. Like I said, after the game, we didn't manage that spell, that 10-15 minute spell where they was on top of the game, and they did manage their kind of spell. So we've got to learn quickly. You've got to understand that I've had kind of one full session with the group. I'm trying to change a mentality within the group. I'm trying to add a different way of playing slightly, which takes time. So we've learned a lot from that game, and we know what we need to put right going into Harrogate.
Did the nature of the goals and the timing of those goals, did it affect the way in which you're trying to implement this new way of playing?
I think so. I think we had a game plan early on in the game, and obviously we concede so early, it does affect. You end up chasing the game, and then you concede the second one in the manner that we did, which was a little bit freaking the way that it's kind of come off Andy's head. But again, we don't defend well enough in that moment, and then you are chasing the game at 2-0. I had to make an early change that I probably didn't want to do. But if I'm chasing the game, I want to try and win the game and try and impact it in a certain way.
What's more difficult, trying to change the way that this side is playing, or change the mentality that you've spoken about?
I think the mentality is important. I said after the game that obviously winning helps that, but players are kind of told a way to play, and they've stuck to that for so long that it's my job to find a way of changing that mentality and way of playing at the same time, really. I think they're both just as important. Hopefully we'll see that against Harrogate. Like I said, we've learnt a lot from watching the game back, and we'll try and implement that kind of new way of playing, or in the best way of beating Harrogate Town. With
these changes, are they wholesale changes? Can you go about them in a wholesale fashion, or do you have to be measured?
No. You can't go from one way to the other straight away. It's a different situation from last year when I took over. We are playing a certain way this season, and we have come off the game a lot. So we've got to change that mentality of trying to be a little bit more aggressive in our way of playing, both with and without the ball. So these changes aren't going to happen overnight. Like I said to you, we've had one real session before we went into the game on Saturday. We've had a chance to reflect and learn from it today, and then we've had another good session going into Harrogate. So hopefully we'll start to see them changes, but most importantly we'll try and get a result.
Going into the Oldham game, you said before about wanting to set the team up in a way that will appeal to the fans.
Yes.
What is that way?
Exactly that, in regards to I want to get pressure on the ball high up the pitch. We left too much spaces. I think we dropped too early, too quick, and didn't allow us to get bodies higher up the pitch to go and put pressure on the ball, and that was an issue that we found within, and it's something that we've looked at and we want to kind of improve on going into Harrogate. like I said, it's changing that mentality of players from dropping off the game to going up and playing a little bit higher with our line, and that's going to take time, and they've got to do it. And we ain't got a load of time, we know that in this game, but bit by bit we learn from it and we try and implement it.
Does that require a better level of fitness to be able to implement that way?
No, I think the fitness base is good of the players. It's just been braver with the mentality to play higher, from the goalkeeper onwards, and from our forward players being a little bit more aggressive. So that's how I want us to play in terms of formation. That just depends on the personnel, and it also depends on the opposition we're playing. Unfortunately we've got 9 out for this game. Probably 8 or 9 of them could be starters. So we find ourselves in a difficult position, but we're not going to use excuses. We've got a big squad and we want to go and put the best team out to try and win this game.
So of those 8 or 9 that you speak of, presumably Reece is part of that, Liam as well? Yeah,
Reece, Liam, and obviously Pawdy now is part of that 9 players out, and that's a difficult situation, but it also gives other players opportunities to keep the shirt and put in a performance.
How do you go about resolving that issue then that exists within selection for your defensive line?
Don't get me wrong, it's difficult. I've had sleepless nights over it. Some players might have to play in positions that they're not comfortable with, or have not played in much this season. So that's down to me and what I choose in regards to the personnel that I put out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's difficult for you to try and build a team when you've got those constraints on one side, and I was going to ask you about more so the attacking line. One of the positives that did come out of Saturday was the inclusion of Tom Elliott and the way that he played. Is there a temptation to maybe use him from the off against Harrogate?
We'll see Tuesday. Tom was a positive out that game. I thought he held the ball up well. He brought players into the game, especially when we're down to 10 men. I thought that he allowed us to get up the pitch, and obviously he got a goal which got caught what wasn't. So I believed it was a goal. I don't think there were a lot of contacts on the goalkeeper. I think it's a poor decision from the linesman, and the referee should be stronger in that position. But the referee wasn't strong enough all game. He'd listened to the fourth official for a red card, which wasn't. And he needs to be stronger next time he refs a football match.
Yeah. And just on that back line, is it going to require a bit of thinking outside the box then? And does that come from the players as well?
Look, I've got to educate the players in what I want from them when they are playing in a different way, a different formation at times. So yeah, there will be a little bit of thinking outside the box, and players that, like I say, don't always play in that back line might do on Tuesday.
Talk about time, you're absolutely right. Football doesn't give anyone any time, more so than not. And I guess for you, in this caretaker role that you have, you've said that you would be interested in putting your name forward. It's almost like an interview period for you, but you've got those difficulties that exist in terms of team selection. You've not got the time really that you would like to be able to show really what you can do.
No, obviously it'd be nice if we had a full fit squad and personnel to play a certain way of football. So I haven't got that that amount of players available to me, but what we have got available is 18 players who want to put in a performance and go win football matches. I know that I've got to win football matches to stay in this role. Doesn't matter if I had it full time or not. I've got to win football matches, so we will do our best to win as many games from now until the end of the season, if that's me in charge or not.
Yeah. Have you expressed that interest to the board?
Of course, they know that. They know at the end of the season. I said that to everybody that made it vocal that I wanted to be manager of Bradford City when at the end of last season. I wanted to build a squad and but now we find ourselves in a totally different situation. Is it a difficult situation? It is in a way because of the amount of injuries we've got. But like I say, we'll try and implement our way of playing and try and get results.
Is it different this time round purely for the fact that you had Connor with you last time?
It's that extra voice next to me. Connor's a good coach. We worked a lot together. Of course. Connor was we did it together in a role. So I'm not saying I need Connor. I've got other bodies in the training ground to help and support me. But it's my job to pick the team and put in a performance.
Just what about your own future, Joel, if you don't mind me asking? Because if it isn't you to get the job full time and someone else has come in, and they want to bring in their own backroom staff, and that's made clear, have you been given any clarity on what that means for your own position?
I'll deal with that if that time comes. So from now, I've just got to focus on my job.
Have you been handed any assurances at all?
Win football matches.
And how are you going to go about doing that against Harrogate then? We'll focus on them as opponents.
Yeah, Harrogate are a good team. I thought we played well in the first half against Harrogate, but they've got their strengths. They've got individual quality. We saw the likes of Diamond and how positive he is on the ball, and Muldoon, who are and Armstrong who are full of energy and want to threaten our back line. So we know the strengths of Harrogate. We know it's a derby, so we need to be physical. We need to be aggressive, both with and without the ball. We know that. We need to again give the fans something that they want, and that's energy, that's work rate, that's aggression. But also we've got to be good on the ball, in the right areas. We've got to take our time and not force things, which I think we've done in the past. I think we've got to be a little bit more patient, especially when we get into that final third and make better decisions. So that's what we'll be looking to do. And
finally, you mentioned time being a big factor in football. Pressure is, as well, as we know, and that comes mostly from fans. And we know that there's a great deal of frustration at the moment with how form has been. It would be the perfect tonic, would it not, to get a victory in the Yorkshire derby, as you say, at home, just to restore some good feeling amongst the fans?
Yeah, I think so. I think we know as a group, players, staff and coaching staff, that how big a result will be, and hopefully that changes the momentum of our season.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Saying about getting that momentum. Also, it's important that the season doesn't peter out, isn't it? Because if you don't get a result, perhaps tomorrow, suddenly the gap could be 10 points possibly, and suddenly it looks like it's sort of beyond you.
Yeah, while it's mathematically a chance for us to get in the playoffs, we will push. We know that we've got the squad to do it. The players that get the shirt on Tuesday will have to perform, because they know that there will be players coming back from injury who will be pushing to get back in that team. So it's down to them when they get the shirt to go and put in a performance and keep this playoff chance alive.